Have you ever wondered why some people find it difficult to be around you? Okay, maybe that's too harsh, but let's be honest. We all feel that way sometimes. We all engage in behaviors that cause others to roll their eyes as soon as we enter a room. I know I do today. Allowing bad habits to slip can lead to people disliking you. You know what? I've done most of these things too, so if you're brave, we're going to dive straight in. It's going to be extremely controversial. They are honest and a lot of fun. If you're interested in discovering whether you're unintentionally the worst, join us for a conversation. Let's talk about news. I can tell you're nodding. It feels safe to talk about someone's current relationship problems, whether it's a little office tea or something more serious. Enough already. Who doesn't enjoy being in the minority? It's like we're wired for it. If you're the one delivering the news, here's what you need to know. Consider the thoughts and opinions of others when they discuss the individual in question. What do they say about me behind my back when I'm not there? Yes, rumors make a trust cycle. I learned the hard way, so I'll be honest with you. I used to think that talking brought people together, like if I told them the latest news, they'd think I was cool. Understandable, but you know what happened? I noticed that people avoided having deeper talks with me. Because they didn't trust me, they'd keep things on the surface. I became that person who knew everything about everyone, but didn't have any real friends. It's not merely that you avoid people when you constantly discuss them. Taking care of your own things is a strange detour from your problems. The more I thought about what other people were doing wrong, the worse I felt about my own. I was thinking about what I needed to change in my own life. Gossiping is bad for everyone. Your relationships are bad for you because they make you feel insecure and negative. You're bringing other people down while you're pulling them up. And you're also bringing yourself down in the process. I understood that I had to stop using gossip as an excuse to connect with people in a real way if I wanted to make real bonds with them. Therefore, if you are engaging in conversation because you believe it is harmless, I have some bad news for you. It is not. People notice when you do it. Remember, they begin to pull away. Trust me, I've been there before. And guess what? Stopping rumors has much more power than there is. The secret lies in spreading it the next time someone tries to get you involved in the newest scandal. Watch how quickly you start to get real respect when you say, "Nah, I'm good." We all have our own mess to clean up at the end of the day, so let's stop being passive about everyone else's too. Passive violence is the art of not saying what you mean but still getting what you want. You understand what I mean when I say that you should not expect others to understand you. That's the famous "I'm fine with that" stone. When someone asks you to do something or gives you a cold face that says nothing but fine, even if you say, "Yeah, sure, whatever," deep down you're plotting their downfall. We've all been there. I've been there. And it's like a twisted version of mental warfare. I thought passive-aggressive behavior was a wonderful way to avoid a fight. You can avoid a fight by dropping hints that make them feel guilty for not getting it, right? I learned the hard way that people can't read minds. And if they can, they're lying. They are purposely ignoring those signs. I used to be the queen of rude texts when someone would back out of plans instead of just, "Hey, that was kind of bad." I'd hit them with "Wow, that must be nice to be so." I would give a friend the quiet treatment if they did something that annoyed me or if I was busy. Care while I waited for them to suddenly understand why I was mad, and you know what? I didn't figure it out. I just looked like a childish drama queen. Let me tell you something about silent aggression. It's kind of like mental dodgeball. You're trying to avoid the problem, but all you're doing is making people frustrated without giving them a chance. It's wearing you and everyone else down. Let's fix it. The worst thing about it is that it makes people think you are tough, dishonest, or just plain rude. No one wants to work with someone who can't say what they mean. We believe that silent violence simply stems from a fear of vulnerability. We think we're keeping ourselves safe from strife, but what we're really doing is hurting our relationships. Hey, that hurt. Or I'm mad because we play these mind games. Expecting others to understand is unrealistic. And the harsh reality is that it's not their responsibility to infer your feelings. It's your job to tell them. I recall the moment when it dawned on me. I was yelling at a friend, and I continued. I was giving them these passive-aggressive jabs in the hopes that they would finally understand. However, all they did was glance at me and utter a single sentence. If you couldn't tell me what was wrong, I couldn't help you. It hit me like a truck that I wasn't being strong enough. I was not being intelligent when I concealed my emotions. I was simply being a coward. Since then, I've made a point to express my thoughts, which is crazy, but guess what? It's scary at first, but when you stop acting sensitive, it feels great. Get off of basketball and start talking to each other. Things will get better. Even when it's difficult to hear, you value honesty. More than that, you should put up those passive-aggressive walls next time. You want to either send that shady, "I guess that's fine" text message, or make a phone call. On the cold shoulder, you should ask yourself if you want to continue avoiding the issue or do you want to. I promise that life will be so much easier when you grow up and face it head-on. Just tell people what you're feeling instead of expecting them to understand. They might even surprise you by fixing the problem, which would be an incredible feat. Okay, 3 people who never take blame. Let's talk. There's an old joke about not taking responsibility. You know the one. Is it ever their fault, Mr. Deadline? That's because the Wi-Fi wasn't functioning properly. I know that teacher hates me because I've been there and done that. I am a master of making excuses, and let's face it, it's fun to avoid responsibility. Placing the blame on external factors reduces our feelings of guilt as a mental get-out-of-jail-free card. But here's the harsh truth. It sounds like you're yelling, "I can't handle my own life," all the time. People start to think of you as unpredictable, childish, and, well, a mess. As an example from my own life, I was known for not doing my schoolwork in school, but I always did it. I was prepared with an excuse. The printer broke or I had too much work from my other job. I was unaware of the deadline for some classes, and my personal best until the very last minute. Someone from my class told me, "Every time you have an excuse, you're robbing yourself. You'll never get better if you don't take responsibility for your mistakes." That hit me like a truck, man. Here's the thing. Reasons make them feel safe. Protect us from criticism that would make us feel like we've failed. But you know what they say. Also keep us stuck in a circle of failure. Because if you don't take responsibility, if everyone else is always to blame, give up your power to make things better. What's the point? You're not going to get better. I saw that my making excuses all the time wasn't keeping me safe. It was holding me back every time I blamed someone or something else because I didn't want to confront the harsh reality that perhaps I hadn't tried hard enough. You could have done better, but that's a beneficial thing because it means you're growing. Saying, "I made a mistake and I'll learn from it," is insufficient. Freedom. When you own up to your mistakes, you can change things. I remember the first time I admitted I was wrong at work. I missed a deadline, and instead of making this long list of reasons, I told you, "Hey, I didn't use my time well. I'll do better next time." And you agreed. You know what? No one threw me out of the building, and my boss didn't lose it. People admired me more because I took responsibility. I learned that people want your best, not perfection. Though I want you to be honest and take responsibility, I know that it's challenging to do so at times. While it's unpleasant to feel as though they've missed an opportunity, it can ultimately alter the outcome. People trust you more when you stop making excuses, and you trust yourself more when you stop making them. Owning up to your mistakes is preferable to constantly living in fear of detection. Plus, let's face it, life gets busy. It becomes significantly simpler when you don't constantly consider reasons. Gymnastics. Do you have trouble recalling your most recent motivation? Just take a hit, learn from it, and move on. Try owning your mistakes instead of blaming the dog, weather, or the world. It's scary at first. It hurts at first, but believe me, it feels so much better in the end. Actually start to respect you for it. That's a crazy idea, right? Now go out there, and you'll thank yourself in the future if you start taking responsibility. Of basic hygiene. Okay, everyone. It's time to talk about the big problem that nobody wants to talk about. Perhaps it's the cleanliness of the room, or perhaps it's the odor in the room. Yes, we're talking about everyday cleanliness. Yes, I understand that we shouldn't have to discuss this, but it seems like we do. After so many years of society, you'd think that everyone would know how to use soap and water, but it looks like some people still don't. Let's be honest. No one wants to be the person that others try to avoid due to a particular issue. But it does happen, and I'm not here to judge. Okay, maybe a little. However, I'm here to help you avoid becoming that person. I have to tell you something. When I was younger, like in middle school, I was mistaken when I believed I didn't need deodorant, thinking, hey, if I don't feel sweaty, it's all good. I didn't know until someone politely but uncomfortably told me to try. The new brand of body spray definitely woke me up. It wasn't as bad as the fear I felt. I assure you that realizing what you've been experiencing will cause you to reconsider the decisions you've been making in your life. I rushed home that day and bought everything in the cleaning area, but where things get controversial, cleanliness isn't just about smell, it's also about appearance. Respect not only other people but also yourself, because this is the hard truth. If you don't prioritize your cleanliness, people will begin to question what else you're overlooking. If they can't handle a shower, how can they handle anything else? Take on bigger tasks. It's not fair. But that's how people think. And it's not just about, let's talk about body odor. Not brushed teeth, greasy hair, dirty clothes, the whole 9 yards. People start to think less of you if you look like you just got out of bed for the 3rd day in a row. Additionally, I question their well-being and the extent of their efforts. Not taking care of your cleanliness can sometimes be a sign of a deeper problem, like sadness, burnout, or low self-esteem. When I was having a hard time, I realized I hadn't done the simple things because I wasn't sure what the point was. Not taking care of your body can bring you down even further. At one point in my life, I was so stressed out and busy with work that I forgot to take care of myself. I would not take a shower, wear the same clothes I wore the day before, and hope that no. Guess what? People did notice, and it wasn't until the end that they said anything. A friend asked me, "Are you okay? You've been acting a little strange." Realizing how far I'd let things slip helped me. I knew that not taking care of my cleanliness was a sign of a bigger problem. I wasn't taking care of my mental health either. Hygiene is more than just a way to look and smell good. It's a sign of self-respect. And the first step, letting go, demonstrates to the world and to yourself your respect for who you are. Basics. It can be as simple as telling yourself, I'm not worth the work. Slide into greater self-doubt. But here's the positive news. Small steps, like brushing your teeth, can help. Some things, like brushing your teeth or washing your hair, can help you feel better in general. It's strange how that works. It's amazing how a seemingly insignificant thing can drastically alter your mood, and I understand that on certain days. It seems like an impossible task to get yourself into the shower, but trust me, you'll feel fantastic afterward. You'll feel like a whole new person, and the people around you will also thank you. Everyone benefits, and let's admit there's nothing better than a fresh start. Feel clean after taking a shower, so do it for yourself and everyone else. Please wash your hands, put on deodorant, brush your teeth, and leave right away. Remember that optimal cleanliness isn't just about how you smell. If you're still unsure, remember that taking care of yourself is more important than pleasing other people. You're uncertain about whether you should take a shower today. Here's your sign, do it. You'll feel better for it. Let's be honest for a moment. We all know, is there a single individual who consistently expresses negative opinions? They could be on a beach with a drink in their hand and complaining about everything. You can always find something bad to say. The temperature is excessively high and the sand is excessively coarse. You know the type. Now, if you're still thinking, I don't know anyone like that, but it could be you, don't worry. At some point or another, we've all done it. I went through a period where when I was stressed out, I constantly complained without even trying. I would walk into work and ask, why is it so cold here? Or, why is I wanted this coffee so badly that I felt like I couldn't stop? But then one day a friend bluntly informed me that you tend to complain more than anyone else I've encountered. The pain was so intense that I couldn't bear it. I must acknowledge the negativity I was exhibiting, and let's be candid. You and everyone else around you get tired of whining. It's like being negative. Negativity spreads, and when you only focus on what's wrong, people begin to perceive you negatively. People are trying to avoid you. Trust me when they see you coming. And their first thought is, trying to hide in the next room to avoid hearing another rant is not a good idea. Now this is where things start to get awkward. Making noise is fun, and currently, it feels like a release of tension, yet the truth remains unchanged. Not being content doesn't help. It makes you see only negative things, which becomes a vicious cycle. If you're always bringing up negative things, your brain learns to ignore anything positive that happens around you. People start to look down on you at the table and wonder if they're upset, maybe they're the problem. Here's the real trouble. Whining is often a cover for something bigger. When I was whining, it wasn't really about the inadequate coffee or the cold office. It was about being too busy. Whining didn't help because I was stressed and didn't control my life. It wasn't helpful. If anything, it made me feel worse because I was focusing on the bad things. My life, instead of trying to find an answer, I saw that if I kept whining, I wouldn't have solved any problems. I would have just made them public. As a repeat offender, I began engaging in reckless behavior whenever I felt like it. When I was upset, I'd stop and ask myself, what can I do about this if I can't change it? If I could fix it, I'd let it go, and I'd stop whining and do something about it. It was hard at first, but after a while I saw a big change in how what people say about me and how I feel about myself is the essence of life. Things will always go wrong from time to time because life is unpredictable. That's just the way things are. But always being focused on what's wrong keeps you from. When you see what's right, it stops you from being grateful. That prevents you from complaining. The more you focus on the positive, the less you'll want to complain. Guess what? As you begin to attract more positive things, people are drawn to you because you bring them up instead of bringing them down. So if you're always whining about things, stop. We could ask ourselves, am I? About everything from the weather to the Wi-Fi. I'm attempting to understand this situation, or am I simply unable to break free from my habit of crying? Let's be honest. Complaining isn't cute, and it's definitely not helpful. The next time you're about to complain, try to help someone. Change things up and find something to be thankful for. You'll be amazed at what you find. You'll feel so much better, and I'm sure everyone else will too. If you prefer to take the easy route, keep in mind that initially, complaining might feel satisfying. Being consistently late is a powerful strategy, right? Handle a problem that affects more people than you might think. Being consistently late. You are familiar with the routine. There is always one individual who consistently arrives late and claims to be only 5 minutes behind. The text message that says, "I'm on my way," is sent from those people who always lie in bed in their clothes and watch TV. You appear mired in the past. Now, before you begin to offer me excuses, let's be candid. I have been that individual. Maybe I was the queen of stylishly late, but it wasn't fashion or style. I thought it was my little rebellion against the clock because it was late. It wasn't stylish. It was just rude. I used to have bad being late for everything, like dates, meetings, and family dinners didn't work. In fact, I believed that I was not bound by the conventional time limits until one day my best friend scolded me for being late. If you consistently arrive late, it implies that you don't respect my time, which is deeply hurtful. That hit me hard. I hadn't thought about it that way before. I was preoccupied with my own thoughts. I was so engrossed in my own time management mess that I forgot how rude I was to other people, and let's face it, was chronically lazy. Isn't just a quirk of mine. It's a big red flag to other people. It means my time is more important than yours, whether it's a job interview, a dinner with friends, or just a meeting. If you consistently arrive late, others may perceive you as unstable, confused, and perhaps even slightly insane. Being late is rude, and let's face it, it often conceals more serious issues. It may be because they don't value them, or to avoid making a promise. Some people are late because they're dragging their feet or don't want to be. We believe that if I arrive late enough, they might assume I'm busy with something else. However, it seriously casts doubt on your honesty and your integrity. Interested, I had to face that difficult truth on my own. I wasn't just late because I felt bad. One time I was late due to my fear of potential dangers. I arrived late, using it as an excuse to avoid being fully present. I started getting better at managing my time and being more honest about why I was putting things off. Being late all the time isn't just a detrimental habit. It can be a sign of bigger problems like not being able to handle your time well, with self-respect and care for others. Being late not only disrupts your plan, but it also conveys disrespect. Others may perceive you as undervaluing their time or work, which can be challenging to overcome, but it's well worth it. I started setting alarms, making plans, and even showing up early. It wasn't easy, but it made a big difference for everyone to deal with my tardiness. I felt better about myself and people started to trust me more. People didn't perceive me as a chronic latecomer. She was someone who everyone could count on. If you consistently arrive late in your group, consider the following challenge. It's time to step up your game. To begin, set your alarms 5 minutes early and make a plan. Change your outfit the night before, or simply leave earlier, and observe how your image and relationships change. Being on time isn't just about showing respect. It's also about don't miss out on life's moments, so stop trying to catch up and start being on time. Trust me, it will make all the difference. 7th difference, playing the victim. All right, let's look at a habit. That's a play the victim. You know the type. They have a never-ending list of problems. No matter what, people are always quick to say that if something goes wrong, it was someone else's fault. Why does this always happen? Happen to me? Well, here's the truth. Sometimes it's not the world planning to hurt you. It's your own thoughts right now before you start getting okay. I get it. Life often presents unexpected challenges, and at times it can feel overwhelming. The only person who can catch them is you. But there's a catch. Pretending to be the victim can be a cunning strategy to escape detection. Avoiding real growth and responsibility, let's be honest, is not a good idea. A nice person to be around. I was guilty of this at one point. I'd moan. I was reminded of how my luck never seemed to favor me. I simply missed out on a raise at work. My boss doesn't like me, which has led to relationship problems. Cursed, and guess what? I was unaware of the depth of my feelings for this victim. I had a heart-to-heart conversation with a friend who told me, "You know, you always see yourself as the victim, but have you ever thought about how much you make things worse?" That stung, but it awakened me. The worst part is that it's possible to play the victim. If you do it every day, it's like putting on a mask of eternal doom. You start to believe it, that everything is happening to you instead of for you. It's tiring for everyone else, and it can really hurt. You can't grow as a person if you're always looking for someone to blame and not looking for solutions. Chances to learn. Here's a sour truth. Playing the victim isn't always the best way to. This is a way to avoid facing the hard facts about ourselves, which are more painful. It's much easier to blame someone else and say it's not my fault than to look in the mirror and ask, how could I have done something different? But let's be honest, that's not enabling. It's taking away power. I learned this the hard way. There was a time when I was always blaming other people for my job failures. It wasn't until I started taking responsibility for my actions that I got ahead. I stopped seeing myself as a victim and started seeing myself as a player in my own life. It felt freeing to not wait for things to get better on their own. I started making changes and setting goals. Working to make them the victim is like being stuck. You can run and run in a hamster wheel, but you never get anywhere. You break out of that cycle when you stop being the victim and take responsibility. This doesn't mean that life's problems won't go away, but you'll be better prepared to deal with them. It's about shifting your attitude from one of helplessness to one of strength. So if you notice yourself falling into, try this, instead of asking yourself, why is this happening to me? Ask yourself, what can I do about this? Give yourself the power to be your own hero. The next time you're in a story, it's more fun to be the hero than the victim. If you feel like a victim, remember that you have the power to alter the game's rules. Take charge of your life and see how it goes. I promise that your relationships will change, and if you need a warning, just watch this video again. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Just give yourself some tough love, okay? There you have it. We've discussed the worst habits that make people look down on you. Being passive-aggressive and never taking blame for things like not doing your cleanliness or knowing how to complain about everything. And hey, if you see yourself in any of these, don't worry. We can all change these harmful habits. We should not waste our time on habits that do not help us or those around us. No, I'm not asking you to be perfect, far from it, but a bit. Being aware of yourself can greatly benefit you, and even small changes can cause a big change in your relationships, your self-esteem, and the way you act in the world. And let's be honest, no one has ever said they didn't like being there. Someone who is honest, responsible, and smells good is what I'm looking for. It's your turn to identify one bad habit that you could potentially change this week. Perhaps it would be as simple as admitting your mistakes. It could be clearing your mind or simply taking a quick shower. People, thank you for sticking with me through this one. If you have any smiles, a thought, or even a cringe-worthy moment of self-reflection, click like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might need a friendly reminder. They keep reminding themselves, we're all in this together. No one is perfect, but we can all do our best. Do better, and remember that the next time you want to complain or spread rumors, it's often a beneficial idea to ask yourself, what would I say about myself? I'll catch you next time.